Yo, what up, podcast people? This is your host, Adrian Hatcher of the Playoffs of Life podcast, and we are back with another episode. This episode today is titled Playoffs on the Horizon, and that is because BullsNation has acquired I would say future, but current All-Star, as well as other necessary pieces to compete for a championship this year. The Bulls have currently been on a 2-game losing streak since they've acquired these pieces, but in my opinion, it hasn't changed the outlook that we should have with the playoffs coming up in a matter of 20 to 30 games. And the reason I believe that is because we have increased our talent significantly, and I believe chemistry is the main thing that's going to stop us right now if we do not reach the playoffs. But being optimistic and looking at what we did do during the NBA trade deadline, I do believe that for the Chicago Bulls, the playoffs should be in our heads. And let's just go over the trades real quick as we dive into this. The Bulls traded for Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and their 2021 and 2023 first-round picks. Now, both are top 4 protected, and they made this trade to the Magic for Nikola Vucevic and Alfred Aminu. The Bulls also traded for Daniel Gafford and Chandler Hutchison to the Wizards for Daniel Theis, Troy Brown Jr., Javonte Green, and cash considerations. Now, let's go and hit the ground running. We have a all-star to pair with Zach LaVine, and that all-star is Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic is averaging 24.5 points, 11.8 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 1 steal, and is shooting 40.6% from 3. Now, that is before the trade, but those numbers speak for themselves. This is a 2-time All-Star who is coming on our team, who is going to bring development, who is also bringing a veteran presence, something we haven't had in a minute at that center position. Now, some Bulls fans may feel a type of way because we did have some Wendell Carter stands out there. I was probably one of those who was neutral about it. I didn't necessarily feel like it was bad if he was off the team, but I wasn't necessarily excited to have Wendell Carter as my starting center just because of the consistent injury struggles he's had throughout the season, and this season wasn't looking too bright. This was probably his most healthy season up to this point, and that's just because due to the new coach we got in Billy Donovan, he was expanding his game and getting an opportunity to show why he deserved that starting spot. But as we all know, Wendell Carter Jr. as well as Kobe White lost their starting positions a week or two ago and were relegated to the bench, where Billy Donovan believed they would be able to contribute better. He inserted Thad Young into the starting lineup, and he also inserted Thomas Satoransky into the starting lineup. Now, what we're looking at now is a completely different team, to be honest. We do have some of the core players, such as Lauri Markkanen, Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Pat Williams, Thad Young, but pretty much everybody else on the team has left, or their role has either expanded or is now just pretty much a deep roster fill. Those players that I'm talking about are such as like Ryan Arcidiacono, which we love Ryan for what he brings to the team, but we also understand with the new pieces, the new talent, his role should be way less than what he was playing. I mean, this man was averaging almost 12 minutes a game, and when we need it, it's definitely thankful, but now we should have the talent to supplement that. Now, let's get into Nikola Vucevic, the all-star that we're pairing with Zach LaVine. Like I said, he's a 2-time All-Star, excellent floor spacer, has a mid-range game. He's a dominant big man, post-ups, rebounding. He plays within the flow of the offense, and he can also create that 2-man game that we also wanted with Zach LaVine, because we all understand that Zach needed some help. He needed somebody that was going to be able to take the scoring load off him, as well as keep the team afloat, whether each one of them is on the bench. So far in the 2 games that they've played, and these 2 games have been with, I believe, the Golden State Warriors, and they also played, I'm not 100% sure on the first team they played, but Oh, it was the San Antonio Spurs. But with that being said, we as a Bulls Nation should understand that this is just a chemistry issue. We're no longer the less talented team coming in. We're no longer the underdog. So we are looked at as a playoff contender, which means in the East, we should be in the playoffs with the team we have. We have the necessary talent. Vucevic also, like I said, brings a veteran presence. He's going to be active. He's going to require the ball. He's going to be aggressive. Things that we wanted Wendell Carter to do while he was here. And all love to Wendell Carter. I hope he gets a good and a solid role with the Orlando Magic and he develops his game. But that's no longer our concern right now. Nikola Vucevic is going to also help with those assist numbers. One thing Wendell was trying to do is get everybody in the offense going. You know, he was that type of unselfish player, but it was kind of deterring to the team because the other team didn't have to really plan for Wendell because he wasn't averaging too many points, too many assists. They knew what his role was. They knew all he would do is go and try to set up for the team. And when he was relegated to the bench, he started adapting and he started doing better, but it just wasn't enough. You know, that's why I think our Torres went and got a starting all-star to pair with Zach LaVine. Also, he shoots 40.6% from three. Zach, he's basically shooting what a guard should be shooting in the NBA. That is unheard of. Like, he is going to be deadly with the pick and pop, the pick and roll. He can go inside and out. There's nothing else that really needs to be said other than we now have a fellow all-star on our team. So I'll go to the next player, Al-Farouq Aminu. He also brings veteran presence as well. He has active hands. He's an aggressive driver. He's also a decent three-point shooter, and he's a great help defender. Al-Farouq Aminu has been around this league for a couple years now. We know what he'll bring. He'll bring solid defense, probably excellent defense, and he'll give you a sprinkle of offense here and there. Now, Billy has to determine how this lineup is going to look, but I'm confident that we are going to figure it out in the next 2 to 3 games as we're going. We also acquired Troy Brown Jr. Now, this is a player that I believe can show some real toughness, some real defensive presence. He can be that defender that every contender has on their team, where you put him on the best player and you lock him down, while also giving you great offensive awareness. So far in the 2 games, even though we've lost to the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors, when Troy Brown Jr. gets minutes, he contributes. He brings something to the game, whether it's good defense, his assists, points, steals. He plays within the flow of the offense. He has a developing talent, because when he was with the Wizards, he was a great talent with them, but he got regulated to the bench just due to the new additions they had acquired during free agency. He's also a shot creator. He showed that plenty of times while playing for us, that when the offense gets bogged down, he doesn't pick up the ball. He continues the flow of the offense. He's a great pick and roll ball handler from what I've seen from highlights, and a great transition runner, which is another thing that we as Bulls fans have been dying for. We wanted more transition opportunities because we know that leads to easy baskets. We know this team plays a lot of half court, and that can be deterring when you have players that literally can outrun other players and get the ball up and down the court fast enough to get a bucket. We also acquired Javonte Green. Now, Javonte Green has his own story that needs to be said, but from what we can tell so far, he's been one of those underdogs who has to fight his way into the NBA, and with that understanding, he not only has talent to really solidify a bench spot in the game with the Bulls, but he also has the determination to really play with the minutes he has, to play as hard as possible. From what I've seen, he's an aggressive driver, shot creator, energy player, a developing three-point shooter, and a high flyer. I mean, Zach LaVine was definitely like the high flyer of the team, but seeing highlights of Javonte Green, man, he got some underrated hops right now. With that being said, those are the players that we've added to the Chicago Bulls. I'm happy with what I've seen. I know we need development, and I know we just need time. So Bulls Nation, be easy, be calm. We're still going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. But with that being said, That's another episode of the Playoffs of Life podcast. Please hit me up on all social media, and I will see you guys later. Peace.